He hadn't set foot in a control room for 28 years. Then one morning, NASA called and didn't ask. They just said, "We need you." Now he lived alone in a small, dust-colored house on the edge of a desert town, the kind of place people drove through without ever wondering who lived there. No nameplate on the mailbox, no social media. No one ever really saw him. Just an old man in a sun-faded flannel shirt walking slowly to the diner at 6 a.m. every day for black coffee and silence. His name was Ed Whitaker, but few people remembered that anymore. To the neighborhood kids, he was just the guy with the old tools. Sometimes they saw him in the garage tinkering with rusted circuits and wires, muttering softly to himself, surrounded by blueprints yellowed with age. No one asked questions. He didn't offer answers. But back in 1986, that name, Ed Whitaker, was spoken in hushed tones at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. He was the systems architect behind Project Ether, an experimental backup control system designed for deep space probes, a system so complex only a handful of engineers could read its full documentation. Ed had written it, and then walked away. He never said why. Some said it was grief. Others whispered about a mission that went wrong, a shuttle that veered off course, a crew that never came home. But Whitaker never confirmed any of it. He just disappeared, vanished into early retirement and silence. Until now. Alarms were flashing. The main screen, normally a stream of elegant orbital telemetry, had turned red. A deep space communications array had stopped responding, mid-operation. A calibration satellite had drifted off course. The propulsion adjustment sequence had failed. A young systems engineer named Lila Cruz leaned over her monitor. "The failsafe didn't activate. It's not accepting override." Another technician shouted, "Telemetry feed is degrading. Manual override not responding." The room fell tense. Whispers, confusion, panic was creeping in. Then, the mission director, gray hair, ex-military, leaned forward. "Try the Whitaker protocol." Heads turned. "That system was deprecated 30 years ago," Lila said. "It's archived." "Then unarchive it," the director snapped. Lila hesitated. "It's written in code we don't even teach anymore. No one here knows how to operate it." A long pause. Then the director exhaled, quietly, firmly. "Get me Whitaker." The desert sun was barely peeking over the ridge when Ed Whitaker's landline rang. Not his cell phone. He didn't have one. The phone on his kitchen wall hadn't rung in weeks, maybe months. He stared at it for a moment, then picked it up. "Mr. Whitaker?" a calm voice said. "This is NASA Operations Control. We have an urgent situation involving a legacy system you once built, Project Ether." Ed didn't speak. "We understand it's been a long time," the voice continued, "but the system has failed mid-operation, and our team believes you're the only one who can—" "Where?" Ed asked. "JPL Pasadena." Ed didn't ask what had gone wrong. He didn't ask who authorized the call. He just hung up the phone, stood up, and walked into his garage. There, beneath a blue tarp, sat a dusty brown leather satchel. He opened it slowly. Inside, handwritten schematics, punch cards, a soldering iron, and an old access badge. When Ed walked into the lobby of JPL, no one recognized him. Security ran his badge, paused, then looked up. "This says you were cleared in. I at the torlight at the end but the year," Ed nodded. "Still am." They didn't argue. Minutes later, the glass doors of Mission Control opened, and everything went still. The young engineers stopped mid-sentence. Some of the veterans looked like they'd seen a ghost. Ed walked in with steady steps, eyes scanning the room like muscle memory had just clicked back in. Lila Cruz approached him. "Sir, I've read your work. I tried to reverse engineer the Whitaker protocol last year, but I couldn't finish it." He nodded once. "No one could." She hesitated. "Why?" Ed turned to the main console. "Because the last page of the documentation was never written down. They opened the archives, dusty terminals, outdated code. Ed sat down at a console no one had touched in decades. The keys felt familiar, like piano keys to an old musician. His fingers moved slowly, then faster, as the syntax returned. Line by line, he reconstructed what had failed. The problem wasn't mechanical. It was human. Someone had bypassed a failsafe manually years ago to simplify later updates. A shortcut, a compromise. "You see this string?" Ed said, pointing to a line of code. "That's not mine. That's fear." They all leaned in. Ed rewrote the sequence by hand, line by line, his voice soft but firm. Then he stopped. Lila frowned. "Is something wrong?" He looked at the screen. "This line. This is where it happened last time." No one spoke. Ed stared at the code as if it were alive. "There was a shuttle," he finally said. "Mid-orbit, routine trajectory adjustment. Ether was meant to calculate and correct in milliseconds. But something was off." I hesitated. By the time I confirmed the override, it was too late. He didn't name the shuttle. He didn't have to. Lila swallowed. "That's why you left." Ed nodded. "They didn't blame you?" "I did." Silence fell over the room. Then, with a breath, Ed whispered, "But this time, we finished the line." And he typed the final string. The room was silent except for the hum of the old console. On the main screen, the telemetry feed flickered. A distant calibration satellite floating just beyond lunar shadow, adrift, unresponsive. Losing it would mean years of data gone, millions in funding. Worse, a total reset of a global mission to track solar radiation patterns. Everyone watched Ed. He leaned forward, eyes locked on the sequence. "We'll send the pulse manually." "But the signal path," Lila began. He cut her off gently. "It's still there. You just forgot where to look." He reached into his satchel, pulled out a laminated page of handwritten frequency harmonics. The room blinked in disbelief. He adjusted the interface, a few lines of raw code, then enter. The lights flickered. On the satellite feed, a green blip flashed, then again, and then. The array realigned. Cheers erupted. Consoles lit up. The satellite had stabilized. Trajectory corrected. System restored. Ed didn't cheer. He just leaned back slowly, removed his glasses, and stared quietly at the screen. Later, when the chaos died down and everyone returned to their stations, Lila walked over to him. "We couldn't have done this without you." Ed shook his head. "You would have figured it out, just not today. You knew everything, even the hidden logic threads, the deep code frequencies. You remembered all of it." "No," he said, "I didn't remember it all. I remembered what mattered." He reached into his coat and handed her the laminated sheet. "Don't file this," he said. "Teach it." As Ed left the building, the same security guard looked up. No salute, no smile, just a nod, the kind men give when they've seen something worth remembering. He walked out into the afternoon light, same old satchel slung over his shoulder, every step steady and slow. He didn't say goodbye, didn't expect applause. He'd saved the mission. Again. But the world would never know. Because real engineers, the ones who build the sky, don't write books. They leave behind code and legends. Have you ever met someone like Ed Whitaker? A man who never asked for recognition, who vanished into quiet corners of the world until someone remembered what he built. If you have, say their name in the comments. Let us remember those who built the systems we still rely on, the ones who never forgot what it means to serve in silence. This is the Astronaut Stories. Thank you for watching. And next time you see an old man staring at the stars, ask him what he used to do, but only if you're ready for the answer.